Hey everyone, happy Friday. Matthew Dale here. It is a cold and snowy day here in St. Louis, Missouri, but today we're going to be inside playing guitar, talking about harmonics. These lovely sounds here. Now, the technique itself is a pretty challenging one. It's not for the faint of heart, but it really offers this lovely texture that you can add to your bag of tricks. Now, in order to get started with this technique, let's first go over what a harmonic is. Our most basic form of harmonic is playing the string very lightly with, whatever finger you want on the 12th fret, just above the metal part of the fret, and plucking the string. Notice that note is still ringing even though my hands are nowhere near the instrument. And that's the whole idea of the sound of a harmonic. We're actually playing on the node of the string directly in half, and that's causing the string to vibrate at twice its normal frequency. We can also play harmonics not only on the 12th fret, but we also get a really strong harmonic on the 7th fret, and then we get another strong harmonic on the 5th fret. And for those keeping track at home, that would be the root note, the 5th, and a octave above that root note from the 12th fret. We can also keep going with this idea and play a full major arpeggio. Root, 5, root, major 3rd, 5th again, and then a high root. That's kind of a cool thing. Now, these are harmonics only using the open strings of the guitar. We can do that for all 6 of the open strings, but we're still limited by only those notes and the fundamental frequencies that we find as we descend the neck. This concept revolves around the idea of fretting a note and playing a harmonic 12 frets above that. And I can do that again for all the notes that I could play. So that's playing harmonics, barring the 3rd fret, and playing 12 frets above that 3rd fret, which puts us on fret 15. Now, a quick aside, with our modern day guitars, you can find notes that are 12 frets above whatever notes you play down here really easily, because we often have dots, or in my case, birds. We have dots on 3, 5, 7, 9, and then a double dot on 12. And then if you look, 12 is just like our open string. So this is an E note, A note, D, G, B, E. And then if we keep going, we see that we have 2 blank spaces before our first dot, and same thing up here, 2 blank spaces before the first dot. So really, this, I'm not thinking of this as 15, I'm thinking of this as 3 again, 5, 7, and 9. Those correlate to frets 3, 5, 7, 9 down here. So I don't really need to count or do a lot of math when I'm looking for this bar. I'm just looking for my 2nd, 3rd fret. And I can find that really easily. Or if it's the 5th fret, I can find that really easily there as well. So with the basics of harmonics taken care of, let's look at the technique, ideally the right hand technique, because this is where things get a little bit tricky. So I'm fretting with my left hand, so I can't use my left hand to play harmonics like I would on the open strings. So I've got to use my right hand. And what I'm doing for this is I'm actually, because I'm using a thumb pick, I'm going to show you what to do with a flat pick as well here in a second. But what I'm doing with the thumb pick is I'm not supporting the thumb pick, so I'm just using the thumb on the thumb pick. And then I'm playing the harmonic with my first finger on my right hand. So the thumb is behind the first finger and plucking the note. That takes a lot of getting used to, especially if you're just using your bare thumb or with a thumb pick. It gets a little bit trickier with a flat pick because you can't just rest that pick on the thumb. What you want to do is actually hold the pick between your thumb and your 2nd finger for this technique. So you have to kind of switch grips, and then you have your first finger free to play the harmonic. And then you can pluck the string behind that first finger. So now that you know how harmonics work, in this case playing 12 frets above the note that you're playing, and you see the technique, let's talk about how to make this technique interesting. If I play a chord shape, just this G major bar chord, if I trace this chord up here 12 frets above, I get an octave above this chord. Okay? I'm just outlining the same shape that I have here, which would be spelled 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3, but I'm doing that on my second set of 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3. And again, I'm using that thumb and first finger technique like I showed you a second ago. Now, doing that on a bunch of different chords is going to take you a while to get used to, right? There's a lot of technique here, and then you have to, put this hand kind of on autopilot to hold those chord shapes down while you're clearly not focusing on that side of the guitar. But once you do start getting that under your fingers, the next step is to actually play more interesting chord voicings with this. Not that this is bad, but it doesn't sound quite as luxurious or harp-like as something like this. And the chord that I'm voicing here, it's a major 7, 6, 9 chord. So there's a lot of notes going on. And the more complex the chord, the more complex these techniques sound. I got fret 3, and then a bar on the second fret to cover the A string, fret 2, D string, fret 2, G string, fret 2. I've got my third finger back on fret 3, and then the bar on the second is getting the E string, fret 2. Really gorgeous chord. And the harmonics really add to it. Now, the next step to really dress up this technique is to introduce open string notes on the chord shape that you have in conjunction with the harmonic notes. And I do this with my third finger. So what I'm doing is I'm plucking the first finger harmonic, and then I'm using my third finger to grab a regular note, a non-harmonic note within the chord shape. And that's really where the harp-like sound comes from in this technique. Now, all you flat pickers out there, I'm not forgetting about you. Here's how to do it with a flat pick. Got a flat pick here. Remember, I'm holding it between my thumb and second finger, and this gives my third finger room to move. And I can do this walking technique with both of those fingers. So I got the first finger on the harmonic, and then the third finger on the open string note. Not really an open string, but for this case, we're going to call it the open string, the non-harmonic string. And you can do it like that. Eric Johnson also does it like that. If you ever watch him do these sounds live and he's doing something that you don't quite understand, it's probably this technique. All right, so now I'm going to show you some great chords to do this technique with. The harp technique itself kind of loses its luster when we use basic triad voicings like bar chords. Because when I do the two-finger harp technique, you can hear a lot of those notes are the same, and that takes away our interest. When we introduce a lot of different notes, it sounds more like a harp. A lot of the same notes, not quite as interesting. So to sub for a major chord or a major 7 chord, I'm going to play this voicing here, this major 7, 6, 9 voicing. And number-wise, this is spelled root 3, 6, 9, 5, major 7. So we have no repeating notes in this chord, which is why it sounds great played as a harp harmonic. For a minor chord, a simple bar works surprisingly well because we have this that's spelled root 4, minor 7, minor 3rd, 5, and then the root again. And the double root doesn't sound too bad in this case, especially since it's the only note that's repeated here. Now, something that's really interesting with this one finger bar chord shape, with this minor chord, we can actually spell out a minor pentatonic while using the harp technique. So here's our minor pentatonic scale. Now, just barring using the harp technique, the minor pentatonic scale is in there. That's kind of cool. Here's a great way to play a dominant chord or a 7 chord with some added spice to it. I'm going to base this off of our bar chord, 7 chord, but now I'm also going to add a flat 13 in here. So this is spelled root, 5, flat 7, third, flat 13, and then the root. This one adds a lot of mystery, especially if you're putting it on a 5 chord of a key. And then one of my favorite major 7 voicings. This is in the first inversion, so it's spelled 3, 1, 2, 5, major 7, and 3 again. This one's all a bar except for this pinky note. So I got all of 2 held down as a bar, and then the A string up on 5. This is going to function like a D major 7, but played as a bar, and then using the harp technique there. So those are a few of my favorite chord voicings to use this technique. If you have other chords that you really like the sound of, go ahead and let me know what those are in the space below, and I'll try to throw some harp harmonics on them. And if you have any other guitar techniques that you think are ridiculously cool, like I think this one is, go ahead and let me know what those are as well. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.